was in the first grade, I had a Hebrew school teacher named Mrs. Rubenstein. She was a wall of a woman, the way she commanded the class and told us about the do's and don'ts of Judaism. On the top of the do list was do give charity. And in order to make that possible, each week she passed around a little box with a slit in the top. It was called a Pushka. And as we passed around the Pushka, we would put coins into that box, and we would shake it and hear the jingle, jangle of the coins, and she would say, "Children, listen to those coins. And when you hear the jingle, jangle, you'll know that children in the world who are hungry are now fed, and children who are shoeless will have shoes on their feet." And then she would adjust her always a little out-of-date suits, and she would snap her feet on the floor with those clicky teacher heels. You know, the kind you always hear click, 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 click walking down the hall. And so it was that one Sunday, just before she passed around the Pushka box, I had to go to the bathroom. And so I raised my hand, and she excused me, and I walked down the hall of the temple. I opened up the bathroom door, and just before going into the stall, I looked up, and I noticed something I had never seen in the ladies' bathroom before. There on the wall was a big white box, and in the top there was a place to put money. I saw a lady walk into the bathroom. She put some money into that big white box, and then out came a prize. It was a big white Pushka. And the most amazing thing is that instead of being rewarded in the ever after down in Mr. Rubenstein's class, you were rewarded in the here and now in the bathroom. I noticed as the lady walked into a stall and closed the door to open her prize, and then I remembered something else Mrs. Rubenstein taught us, that in Judaism the highest form of giving is to give anonymously. She probably didn't want me to see that she had just given. Another lady walked in the bathroom, put her money into the big white Pushka, and she got a prize out also. And then she went into a stall, and I came up with a plan. I thought, why should I give down there when I can give here and get the goods today? And so I ran down the hallway just before recess, and I said, "Guess what, Diana? If you take your nickel, and I take my nickel, and instead of putting them in the Pushka box, we put them in the Pushka down in the ladies' bathroom, we'll get a prize." She liked that idea. Just before the bell rang, Mrs. Rubenstein passed around the Pushka box, and everyone listened for the jingle, 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 jingle of the coins, and I didn't exactly put my money in. I kind of faked it. I figured I'm going to give later anyway. It's not like I'm cheating or anything. I just listened for the jingle, jingle of everybody else's coins. I passed it on to Diana. She quickly passed it around, around, and around, and then the bell rang, ding, 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 and it was time for recess. The two of us ran down the hall as fast as we could. We got into the bathroom. There was no one there except for us. We stood in front of the big white Pushka. She took her nickel. I took my nickel. We put both the nickels into that big white Pushka. Out came the prize. And then I told her we should go into the stall to unwrap it because it was better to do it anonymously. So we went into the stall. We opened up the little cardboard box. We looked inside and... what is it? Diana picked it up and put it around her head. She said, "I think it's a headband." She tied it and then she said, "But why would there be a headband machine in the temple?" And I said, "I don't know. I bet it's a flag for the holiday of Simchas Torah." And so I waved that flag all the way back to our classroom. And when I got there, Mrs. Rubenstein was standing in front of the class. She was brushing out her brown suit, clicking her teacher heels together, saying, "Children, it's time for you to sit in your seats now. Class has begun." "Mrs. Rubenstein, what is this?" "Where did you get that, dear?" I explained to her that down in the ladies' bathroom there was a big white Pushka, and we put in our money and we got the prize in the here and now. But what is it, Mrs. Rubenstein? I can't tell you what that is, she said. You're going to have to go down to the office and ask Mrs. Epstein. Okay. We ran down to the office, and Mrs. Epstein was sitting behind her large oak desk. Her glasses were perched over her nose, and as we walked in, she said, "Good morning, ladies. What can I do for you today?" "Mrs. Epstein, what's this?" We waved our prize, and she said, "Where did you get that?" We explained about the big white Pushka in the ladies' bathroom, that this was the prize. "Well, what is it?" "I can't tell you what that is. You're going to have to ask your mother." Well, we went back to class, and soon the bell rang, and it was time to leave. I went out in the parking lot. My mom pulled up in her pink 1967 convertible with the black vinyl seats. She was waving out over the top. It was a warm spring day. She motioned for me to come and sit down, and I slid over that seat, closed the door behind me, and she said, "So, how was your day, dear?" And I said, "It was great, Mom, but I just have one question before I tell you about my day. Mommy, what is this?" She smiled and she said, "Where did you get that?" I told her about the big white Pushka in the ladies' bathroom, that this was the prize. "But Mommy, what is it?" She smiled at me again, a different kind of smile, something like this. It's the kind of smile that passes between mothers and daughters, fathers and sons, that all-knowing, kind of smile. "Mommy, what is it?" She smiled once again, put her eyes back on the road, and she said, "Honey, that is a Barbie doll mattress." "This is a Barbie doll mattress? But Mommy, why is there a Barbie doll mattress machine in the ladies' bathroom?" "Well, dear, you know how sometimes Rabbi's sermon can be sort of long and boring? That's so little girls who bring their Barbie dolls to temple can put their Barbies to sleep during those long, boring times." "Mommy, that's really wonderful. You mean that's not a big white Pushka in the ladies' bathroom?" "No, dear. It's a Barbie doll mattress machine." "Mama, will you buy me one of those mattresses next Friday night at temple?" My mom bought me a mattress the following Friday, and the week after that, the week after that. Golly, she was buying me those mattresses up until I graduated from high school. The fact of the matter is that my mom and I never did have that heart-to-heart conversation. You know, the one that little girls often have with their moms about such stuff. She just kept on buying me those mattresses. And I have to admit, sometimes I really did envy my Barbies. They got to sleep when I had to stay awake. Now, the really amazing thing about this is that my mom is a gynecologist. And that's the end of that.